Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode on our Rink-Side with Hits and Clips podcast. This week on the podcast, we are going to be having a conversation with head coach and general manager of the Little Britain Merchants, Matt Muir. Thank you, Matt, for joining us, and welcome to the channel.
You're welcome, guys. Thanks a lot for having me and for putting the exposure out for the team in the league. Really appreciate it.
Just to start us off, explain to us a little bit of how you got involved with the Merchants and a little bit of your hockey career and even just playing hockey growing up.
Sure, yeah. From a playing career perspective, I was born and raised in Whitby. Played all my minor hockey in Whitby, and then as a 17-year-old, a buddy of mine who I was just about to go have dinner with asked me if I would just go up to Uxbridge with him as a passenger. He was trying out for the club for the Bruins. Obviously, you're very well aware of who the Bruins are with the last pod. I did join him, and I threw my gear in the truck with him just because I wanted something to do that night. Met my coach that night, Trevor Clark, and they signed me that night actually. And it's kind of funny because I hadn't planned on playing hockey that season. I was a 17-year-old. I was more interested in chasing girls around and being with my buddies than I thought hockey was done. Ended up playing there. Played 3 years in Uxbridge. Absolutely loved my time there. Great organization, great people. My coach, Trevor Clark, great guy. Played with some people that I'm still friends with today, and I've coached with, etc. So, I had a really good career in Uxbridge. I loved my time there. I think I had 141 points in 140 games. So, they treated me well. They gave me the ice time that I wanted and needed to be successful. We were successful as a team, won the Central, I believe it was 95-96, lost out to a powerhouse Napanee team that went on to lose in the Schmaltz that year. And actually, Trevor Cox's older brother, Rob, was on my team that year. We were on the same club, and we ended up coaching together. After my hockey career ended, as an overager, I waited 2, maybe 3 years and became the assistant coach of the Uxbridge Bruins. Just on a whim, I knew they were looking for coaches, and my coach as a player had left the year that I left and had come back to coach. So I reached out to him. I'm like, his name is Trevor Clark. I said, hey, Trev, if you're looking for some help, I'll do it. And he called me back and he said, absolutely, Maddie, let's do it. So spent a couple of years there with them. 3, I think, as assistant coach. We won the Central there as well, and then ended up losing the Schmaltz semis to Grimsby. And then the year after that, I was hired as interim head coach of the Port Hope Predators in the OJHL. Their coach got suspended or fired or quit some early into the year. So I went and rode that out for that year. And this is a long-winded way of telling you how I got to Little Britain. But after that, I went and found out that Little Britain was looking for a head coach. This was in 06, 07. Reached out to them. They interviewed me and hired me. So that was my first head coaching job in Little Britain at the junior level. Stayed there for 2 seasons and then was hired by the North York Rangers in the OJ, and then on to Trenton in the OJ, and then back to Uxbridge in 2009, 2010, and on and on and on. And how did I land in Little Britain this time? It's actually very comical. This will be my 3rd season. So 2 seasons ago, I once again had decided I was retiring from coaching. I had spent the previous 2 seasons coaching the Whitby girls junior A team with my best friend. His daughter was on the team. I was just doing it to stay in the game. And I got a call from Kevin Field, the son of the owner in Little Britain. Their coach had quit 2 games into the season, so this would be 2 full seasons ago, and said, "Can I meet him? For a pop up at Chuck's Roadhouse in Port Perry."
Mhm.
I met him. I had 2 or 3 pops, and walked out of there as the head coach, GM, and director of hockey operations. Why did I do that? I'll tell you why. Because they gave me my first ever shot, almost 20 years previous, and they were going to fold up shop. They were going to close the doors because they had no coach, they were short on players, etc. So that's how I landed in Little Britain this time. Certainly a challenging year. The first year, we showed up, we had 12 players. Had to recruit and trade and do everything we could just to stay afloat for a year. Got excited about it, recruited and did everything as much as I could for last year. And then I'm sitting here talking on a podcast to you guys about doing it again for 1 more year at least anyways. So that's kind of the cold notes of how I got to where I am.
What does the success marker look like for Little Britain this year? What is Little Britain hoping to achieve?
That's an awesome question. I mean, as recently as 5 minutes ago, before this podcast, I was firming up another player that I've recruited, which his name I won't yet say, but it will be announced. So the first year was a write-off. I wanted to be better in the second year. Always try to be better. I mean, currently, anytime you coach or you do anything, you want to win hockey games and you want to be a champion, right? So, but you need to sort of set realistic goals and objectives. Last year we were a better team, but we didn't finish better in the standings. We were clearly a better team than the previous year in our second year. But we even met the same team in the playoffs, but we did win a game in the playoffs. So it was baby steps. This year went at the recruitment pretty hard, have the correct players returning, and recruited some really kind of high end players that are usually a challenge for us to get. So, my expectations this year, I definitely want to move up the ladder a little bit. There are some fantastic teams in this league. I tend to think this is the best league in the province, or one of the hardest leagues to compete in. Clarington, cream of the crop, of course. Georgina right there with them. Port Perry has done an unbelievable job of recruiting. So is Coxie in Uxbridge, and then there's new owners in Caledon and new coaches in Schaumburg. So I don't think I can sit here and say to you I want to finish third or I want to finish first. Of course I do, but I would just love to see a very noticeable increase and a higher standing in the regular season, and then win a playoff round and go from there. And I think of what I've been able to recruit, I think we have put ourselves in the position to do that. I hope.
Now that we're coming to the conclusion of the off season, has the Little Britain Merchants been doing anything to enhance the fan experience in Little Britain for participation or just an overall experience otherwise?
Well, I'm sitting here talking to you guys, so that's one thing that we've done. Certainly trying to get better exposure. As far as the in arena, in game stuff, they did a $7.5 million renovation on a tiny little rink in Little Britain
It's
last year,
nice
which is
looking. I really
noticeable.
like
Really
what they've
nice.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, also you've been there, great. So it's brighter. There's a little bit more fan room. We've changed ends on the bench. We've certainly, in terms of exposure, to address your question, we have way more board sponsorship abilities. Last year, we decided to place a few ads on the local radio station in Lindsay. A whole bunch of new sort of advertising and sponsorship initiatives that we've been working on. So, but the main thing is sort of getting our kids out there, our players out there in the community. We hosted a fundraising baseball tournament 3 weekends ago. We're trying our best to create awareness in a tiny, tiny little town. Little Britain, our town is a fantastic town. It's a safe, clean town with really, really good people, hardworking people. But we're not huge. We are what we are, and we've got to manufacture ways to get people in the rink. And that to me starts with having a better product on the ice. We saw that in the playoffs last year. I mean, I think we sold out a game against Georgina in the playoffs, and we won that game, which was awesome. So, we're doing everything that we can to try and solidify us in the community. It's a bit of a challenge because it had gone downhill there a few years back, and when the coach left and I came in at that point to try and rebuild it. But we're getting there slowly but surely. These things take time, but we're getting there for sure.
What's your experience been like working with Art and Kevin Field?
That's a great question. So Art, I look at Art and I see my late grandfather. He's a 91-year-old man that owns a hockey club and comes to every practice, every game. He even hops on the bus, school bus at that, for road games. Art is certainly changed since the last time I was working with them, but in terms of how much he's involved, but he's there all the time, and his lovely wife as well are there at the front door doing 50-50. So experience with them is great. With Kevin and I are way more hands-on together. Kevin and I have developed a friendship. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't be doing this. I'm a volunteer with this hockey club as the coach and GM, and I don't mind being one. But Kevin and I have developed a friendship. So that's important to me first. It makes doing what we do easier. But Kevin, that being said, as far as hockey operations go, I have to be honest. Kevin has been fantastic in not putting any kind of reins on me. I can do what I want. I can trade for who I want. I mean, certainly I run everything by him because I know that finances become an issue at all times. But in this is going into my third season of recruiting here, and I have not heard the word no once from Kevin when I've asked for a player and how much I need to spend on him. All I've heard is, yeah, that might be a bit of money, but let's see what we can do. Can we do this? Can we do that? We try to be creative for sure, and we do our best that way. But it's been great working with those guys. It's funny, like I worked with Kevin last time as well in 06, 07, 07, 08 when I played there, or sorry, when I worked there. But I also remember Art vividly when I played in the league 30 years ago. Like I remember Art. I remember speaking to him coming through the door, and he was always there, and he darn near looks the same. So it's been great. I'm doing this for a reason. I love the game. I love the guys I work with. I love the kids, but I'm doing it from a moral compass standpoint to try and help them keep that team alive in that community because it belongs there.
I noticed that the logo has shifted or changed a bit in the last little bit. Can you tell us anything behind that?
Yep, for sure. So, I mean, listen, I like the old one too. I debated which hat to wear. I've got one of each. This is actually one of the, not the original, but one of the two or three first ever logos. Last year, with the renovation to the arena, we redid the dressing room as best we could. We felt that we brought in some better players than we had in the previous year. So we just said, let's do something fresh, and let's again, it sort of speaks to getting people into the rink and stuff, right? Like we're trying to just do different things, and this was a nostalgia thing. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd say 18 of the 23 kids asked what it is when we unveiled it to them. To which my answer was, I don't know. I think the actual answer is the logo was just sort of a rendition of an M for merchants, but we just absolutely love the fact that it's a part of the history. It's a part of the club's sort of renaissance, and hopefully it's going to come with some more success.
When you're looking to scout new players, what is the momentum to bring players over to a small town like Little Britain to come and play for an organization like this?
That's a fantastic question. And that's our challenge, to be quite fair and honest. And I'm not certainly not crying foul play or anything like that, but we are certainly challenged, as are many teams across the PJ in the smaller, tiny communities. So, budgetarily, we're owned privately. Art and Kevin own the club, but when you have an owner, private owner, it's much more challenging, I think, especially if it's not somebody that owns a massive company or has some sort of high stakes cash flow available. So it's a challenge financially for sure. The motivation is I would love to sit here and take credit for being able to sign some of the players that we've signed, but I use the players. Like my current players that are returning, they're buddies. They play that lug together in the off season, and they know each other and they talk. So I try to get them to come, and then once I do that, I need to start explaining to these players. For example, Raiden McCoy was a big trade that we made from a player in Picton. He didn't get recruited by a player, but I had to sell to him, or I wanted to sell to him, who we had coming, how we got them, and why they're there. And we've always said this, and I fully believe it. Once they get to Little Britain, they love playing there, and that is an unequivocal fact. Like it's a tiny town. Santa Claus parade, we pull a float through. They're signing autographs, skating with the merchants after. There's a local restaurant pub right beside the arena. We have our own room in the back of that pub where it's reserved for us Saturday nights. Like the players absolutely love playing there. So the recruiting piece can be a challenge. I get a lot of "Where's Little Britain?" when I'm trying to recruit kids, and then you just sell the program. I try to sell myself a little bit. Certainly sell Adam and Glenn Harris, my two assistant coaches, who have been fantastic. Sell the program and do the best I can to bring them. And we certainly don't hit on all of them. And we've been overlooked by many that I've tried to be in on, but we just simply don't have the budget or the proximity to population that all of our competitors do. plain and simple. So
Mm.
so we just got to be creative, and I try to be as creative and active, guys. Like I'm super active. I'm telling you, my best friend in hockey, my whole life, who was my assistant coach in Little Britain, in Uxbridge, in the OJ. He's Doug Parkin, the head coach of Port Perry. Trevor Cox, I coached. He's their GM, as you know. I coached him, and when I played there, he still has a hockey stick of mine that I gave him an autograph 30 years ago when he was a little guy running around the rink. So there's him. I've got a close relationship with Dean Baumhauer in Bowmanville. He's local to where I used to live, so we know each other. Joe Kornakia used to be the owner of the Toronto Arrows, and I coached for that organization. So Thomas Milne and Steve Sador, who I've known forever, they're in Schaumburg now. So the reality is I'm just active. I'm just talking and chatting with people all the time and just working it hard. Is how it's done.
When you were coaching in 2013 with the Pickering Panthers of the OJHL, how has that experience and that journey brought back to Little Britain in the PJHL?
Well, it's funny, like the game has changed in the PJHL.
Mhm.
Um, there's way more younger players that are willing to come to play Junior C because Junior
Mhm.
C certainly had a name. Even when I played, it was certainly one, two, three, four fights a game. We don't see that. I might have seen four all year last year, and three of them from my captain. So I think what's happened is the speed of the game has gotten a lot better. The
Yeah.
competitive nature is a lot better. The willingness from the owners and the people that run the Junior C teams have shown a thirst to be better. The players that come out of Junior C are going up to Junior A now, as opposed to just having a bunch of 20-year-olds or 19-year-olds. The actual experience in Pickering is a funny one. My assistant coach on the team was Paul Coffey, which was hard coaching a hockey club when a Hall of Famer that I was a huge fan of growing up was 5 steps beside me. It was awesome. He was gracious, a really good assistant coach, but it was a different type experience just because of sort of that awe of who was beside me and sort of second guessing myself. Am I doing the right thing? Would Paul Coffey do that? Like type thing. Also, the Junior C loop or the PJHL are, in my mind, in I would say most cases, supported better than the OJ. So in Pickering, we had little to any fans. We were a decent team. I think we were second, third place team, if I remember correctly, but we certainly didn't have any fans. There was minimal 60 to 70 spattered fans across the crowd in a big rink. So it's I find Junior C is catching up. It's the Junior C is loaded, especially with the super drop down rule. Our loop is loaded with kids that are recent OJHL players and standouts. I have Beckham Resnick on my team, played in the OJHL last year. I mean, he could still be playing in the OJHL if he wanted to. Like and I'd say the same thing about Ty Johnston on my team, and there's players on our team like Matt Godin and a few other players that I think could play at the next level. But it's just this opportunity or this level, the PJHL level offers a different experience. That's all.
You actually started to touch on it. Do you have any sense of how that new rule came about, the drop down rule? We've heard some different things from different teams, but I was just curious what kind of sense you heard about how that came about and what impact it's had on Little Britain.
Well, I'll tell you, from what I understand, is it was a to keep players still playing. As many as we can. That's the baseline understanding I got from it. How do I feel about it? I don't know. I mean, last year we got one. We signed one. It was Nathan Toohey. And see, the risk you run, I felt with this rule was you get kids that are done. They're going to come down. They're going to want to be paid. They're going to want. Are they going to be good kids? Are they going to want to think they're the best player in the league, etc.? My experience with Nathan was the exact opposite of that. So, we were in the tournament in Alliston last year, the preseason tournament. He was the last one out of the dressing room and carried all the sticks for the trainer because our trainer's a little bit older, our equipment guy. He carried all the sticks. Like I knew right then that we picked a good person, and that's what Little Britain wants: are good people in our organization. I've not heard stories of other teams, but I do know that I think that is the risk. So I'm not in love with the rule because I feel like there may be a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old local kid that could have that spot. But it's a rule. It is what it is, and it's served teams in our league well. So you play within the rules, and good on them for that, right? The Gorgavelis, the defenseman in Clarington last year, outstanding. right? Nathan Stanland in Port Perry, amazing. Uhr in Georgina, fantastic. Like it really, really worked. And unfortunately with Nathan, he got a concussion in early on. He only played 11 or 12 games. So, but he was dominant when he played. Like it was obvious that he was dominant. So it was unfortunate that happened to him. So, what's my experience in Little Britain? I mean, this year I decided maybe not to chase as much. I did speak to one who had some demands, I'll put it, and he ended up choosing Clarington over us, and that's fine. Like I speak with Dean and Craig Wilcox and in Clarington all the time. We knew we were going after the same player. It's totally cool and totally understandable. They're talking about maybe making two players available like this next year. I'm not in love with that. I would like it to go back to none, but I certainly don't begrudge anybody for doing it. I did it myself last year, so.
We asked Trevor this question in the previous episode, but wanted to get your take on it too. In the a 7-team division of the Or division, what are your thoughts on the first round bye? Is that something that the Merchants look to claim playoff time or just bring the best to the team's ability each season?
Well, it's funny because, when I first came to the league 2 years ago, I
Mhm.
was told, obviously, updated on the rules. And I thought, my first initial thought was, let's finish third. Well, let's try to finish third and get a break. And then as my tenure grew in the league and I started talking around to all the teams, every single one of them to a man said they hated it. Everyone, they're like, nope, nope, nope. And for the exact reason that Trevor said last week when you released your pod, he said that you can't keep these kids stale for 2 weeks. It's hard to keep them engaged. I can't speak on it from experience because I've not been there. I would love that this year. But my thought process is you practice hard, give them some time to recover. But I certainly understand the other opinions on it as well. So, would the league benefit from maybe limiting, maybe only going 6 teams make the playoffs, make it a little more challenging during the regular season, or give the top two a bye, figure some other way out to make it work? Probably. I tend to think that the first place team or the best team should just get the bye automatically. They are the best team, they earn a bye. But I understand why it's not a popular decision to have that be the case because they would feel the exact same way. Right. So those first two teams always take an opportunity to play, keep the kids active, keep the series going, keep the seasons going. So, if we finish there this year, you can believe me, I will not be complaining. Third place would be a massive increase for us. I would just deal with it one way or the other, but I certainly get why it could be a pain in the butt.
From a recruitment process for this year, how have you found it in terms of tryouts and getting players? And then what is the preseason schedule? Any information on the preseason schedule for the Little Britain Merchants? I know some teams have said in the past they have some problems when it comes to holding tryouts early because some guys are unsure where they want to go, what level they want to go to. So some teams like to hold them later. What do the Merchants find works well for them?
Yeah, that's very valid. So we typically are one of the last teams to hold our rookie camp. We try to wait until Lindsay, the junior A team up the road, finishes theirs. So sometimes we're behind the eight ball a little bit on that because players have already gone to some junior C camps. But we hold our rookie camp usually around June 12th or 13th weekend. This year and last year, my assistant coach Adam Harris did. I sort of tasked him with running that, or at least organizing it. Did a bang up job, got sponsors to sponsor it. I think we had 60 players out. So I was very, very pleased and impressed. And we're getting players that have come out of it that I'm going to take on the team. Signed a couple there. What I found happened the last 2 years is after the rookie camp, I want to see more. So what we did is we just scheduled a random skate at the start of July on a Friday night, got all the returning players to come back and then the ones that I wanted to see again so I can make final decisions, which also proved to be beneficial because a friend of a friend on the team came out. And he's going to play for us next year, which is a big get for us because there's been a two or three teams in the league after him. So that helps us. Really looking forward to that Alliston tournament as well. See to sort of get a gauge of where we're at, as we'll have probably 98% of our team done by then.
That's awesome. Very
Mhm.
awesome.
Cool.
Thanks.
Going back to your Uxbridge days, knowing that how is Uxbridge home to you? I'll ask too because we know that the home opener for the Bruins is actually versus the Little Britain Merchants. How is that experience every time you come back to Uxbridge?
I love it right up until 7:45 p.m. on Friday nights. I got to be honest. I mean, there isn't a week that goes by that I don't a thought doesn't pop into my mind of when I played there. I spent 3 years of my life playing there, loved every minute of it. I have lifelong friends that I still talk to. Still, like I said, Doug Parkin, the coach in Port Perry, we played together there. Coach Trevor Cox, all Rob Cox is my buddy. Like I love it. I walk in there, I still see Stumper, and he knows exactly. We swing stories about Stumper and I. There's a real funny story that I won't tell on this podcast that you can ask him about the next time you see him. He'll tell you. And I just it just feels good. I mean, I played 3 years there, but then I coached for two there as an assistant coach, and then I went back as the head coach and GM for 2 years there. Right, so I spent a significant amount of my hockey career both on and off the ice with Uxbridge. I love that town. Just as a town, it's a beautiful town, and the people there treat you so nice. So, I'm not going to lie. When I walk back into Uxbridge, I get a very happy feeling. And then the puck drops, and you want to win a hockey game, right? There's nothing more I want than to beat them, and we haven't done a lot of that in Uxbridge, to be honest with you, since I've been back. So, hopefully, I can change that this year, maybe a couple of times, and get a different feeling when I walk out of the rink. So, we'll have to see how that goes. But Coxie's putting together a good club over there this year. They're always tough.
So my question is, because I'm always very impressed when I see a Little Britain Merchants game. Even there's been years where the success hasn't been what maybe you wanted it to be, but the Merchants always come out and really compete and really put on a great game. And I quite enjoy watching the Little Britain Merchants. What is done behind the scenes to kind of motivate or keep the club going and keep them very excited and go out there and play some great hockey?
Yeah, listen, I appreciate that compliment. There were some dark days 2 years ago, some tough scores, but at the end of the day, we always say we're on the merchant train. Like, we got to roll the train forward no matter what. And what's done behind the scenes. Listen, I'm not going to take a ton of credit for it. The kids are hungry, and I make sure that everybody that we sign has character. Nobody was willing to take a shift off. We're tough, we're gritty. Like it's just fun, and there's an aura in Little Britain. It's a small rink. The crowd's right on top of you. There's weird bounces in there certainly before the renovation. The neutral zone's tight, so there's a lot of open ice hits. We try our best to do something good for ourselves and the crowd in the town every night. So and that's talked about. So when you ask what's done in advance, that's discussed almost on a weekly basis. You represent the team and then the sort of the logo on the front, not the name on the back, as cliche as that sounds. But we explain to these players, and I'm not going to even use the term kids. We explain to these young men and players that there is a lot that goes into making this a place for them to play. So they're on our club, they're our merchant, and if you're a merchant, you need to understand that there's a 91-year-old man that started this team in 1978, and he's still sitting there watching you. And he's still paying the bill for you to be able to get a tracksuit and for you to get a hoodie and a helmet, and that's not easy, right? So
Oh,
we really try to get a sense of understanding and sort of will it into the players so that they want to do it. They want to go out there and do exactly what you said. Give an effort, work their butt off, and see what you can do. And being in a small rink like that, I don't care how good or bad you are. Anything can happen in there. So the games, I would agree with you. The games are entertaining there. I mean, listen, Little Britain. I was honored last year with the club to be inducted into the Lindsay and District Hall of Fame. The team was inducted. It was wonderful. I showed up. My mother, my father came with me. All the players showed up. The owners were there. It was alongside the other inductees. It was just a fantastic afternoon, and we tell the players that, right? Like we just try to sell what it's like and what it means to play for the club, and then all we ask out of them is an effort. That's it. We just ask for an effort and commitment. So, and if they don't give it, then another conversation has to be had.
if somebody's looking interested in whether it's volunteering or getting involved with Little Britain, or even curious about if there's opportunities for them to play with Little Britain, what should they do?
Well, we're like Coxie said on his pod. We're on all the socials. You can see us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're a former player of ours that was just traded earlier in the year. His sister, Alana Atchison, she is still hanging in and being our social media director until we can find someone else. And she's been fantastic with her social posts. They can reach out to me through their website, reach out to Kevin, my assistant coaches. They can go to our website, go to the PJHL website. Certainly willing. I mean, we leave no stone unturned. And if anybody wants to volunteer, we'll take you in. and welcome you in as part of the family. Anything from ticket taking at the door to helping be an equipment manager. If you're interested in scouting or any type of coaching at all or anything at all, we listen to all people that reach out and contact us for sure.
Well, we really appreciate your time to speak with us today, Matt, and just sharing your history of your hockey experience and what you and the team are doing out there in Little Britain. And we wish you and the team all the success going forward, and we can't wait to see you and the team out there this coming season.
I really appreciate that, guys. Thanks for having me on and
Hey,
taking
thank you
the
very
time.
much.
Yeah, and if Coxie mentioned that you're in the rink sometimes. If you are, please, when the merchants are in town, please come up and introduce yourself. I'd love to say hello to you guys. And thanks very much for your time as well and for getting this exposure out to the league or of the league. It's important. It's important work. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And we know
Very
that
welcome.
there's not many videos, I should say, that, are strictly Little Britain or PJHL related. And so we really wanted to take the time to discuss with you and just, dive deeper into the Merchants organization.
Awesome, guys. That's awesome. See you at the rink.
Yeah, see
Thank
you
you
there.
so
Thank you,
much.
Matt.
Thanks, guys.